They say 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead. A morbid saying, a true one. Secrets have a way of clawing their way out from the grave. My father's secret, however, rose from his deathbed. My childhood was normal, or so I believed. We were like any other family in our small suburban town. Dad was always there, his love a steady presence. He was my rock, my confidant, the one person I trusted without question. Dad worked as a mechanic, his hands rough and calloused, yet gentle when he held me. He smelled of motor oil and cigarettes. Mom was different. She was grace and elegance, a stark contrast to our blue-collar life. She taught me to bake, her laughter echoing in our kitchen. As I grew older, the memories of Mom faded. Dad never spoke about her. He would only stare at her picture, his eyes filled with a sorrow I couldn't comprehend. Dad's cough started a year ago. It was subtle at first, just a minor irritation that we all thought would go away on its own. At first it was just a tickle, something that seemed harmless, like a fleeting itch in the back of his throat. Then it became a racking cough that shook his frail body. Each cough seemed to drain a bit more life from him, leaving him weaker and more vulnerable. Cancer. The doctor's words hung heavy in the sterile air of the hospital room. It was a diagnosis that none of us were prepared for, a reality that hit us like a ton of bricks. Rachel, he rasped, his voice weak, barely a whisper. His eyes, once full of life, now looked tired and filled with regret. There's something I need to tell you about your mother. His words were labored, each one a struggle to get out. His words, slow and strained, sent chills down my spine. She didn't leave us. The revelation was like a punch to the gut, something I never saw coming. I hurt her, Rachel, I hurt her bad. His confession was filled with sorrow and guilt, a burden he had carried for years, now finally coming to light. My heart pounded. My father? Hurting Mom? Impossible. My mind refused to accept his words. This wasn't my father speaking. It was the disease. He wasn't in his right mind. Days turned into weeks. Dad slipped further away, the cancer consuming him. His confession haunted me. I needed answers. I searched for old photo albums, hoping to find some clue, some evidence that would disprove his delirious ramblings. Section 5. The Missing Years. The albums were filled with pictures of a happy family, but something was off. The photos stopped abruptly after my 6th birthday. There were no more pictures of Mom. It was as if she had vanished from our lives. I scoured the attic, searching for anything that could shed light on the missing years. A chill ran down my spine as my fingers brushed against a dusty file. A property deed. The address was unfamiliar. Section 6. Echoes in the Crawl Space. The property was a dilapidated cabin on the outskirts of town. It had been abandoned for years, left to the mercy of the elements. The once vibrant paint was now chipped and faded, and the windows were either broken or boarded up. The roof sagged under the weight of countless seasons of neglect. The air hung heavy with the smell of decay and neglect. Every breath felt like inhaling the past, a past that had been forgotten and left to rot. The walls, once sturdy and protective, were now crumbling and covered in mold. The floor creaked ominously with every step, as if warning me to turn back. A shiver ran down my spine as I stepped inside. The atmosphere was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional drip of water from a leaky roof. Shadows danced on the walls, creating eerie shapes that seemed to move with a life of their own. Cobwebs clung to every corner, and dust covered the floor like a shroud. It was as if time had stopped here, preserving the cabin in a state of perpetual decay. The furniture, what little remained, was covered in a thick layer of dust, untouched for years. A strange sense of familiarity washed over me, the musty scent, the creaking floorboards, the eerie silence. It all felt like a distant memory, something from a past life. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been here before, that this place held some significance to me. It was as if I had been here before, but the memory was just out of reach. I wandered through the rooms, each one more decrepit than the last, searching for something, anything, that would jog my memory. But all I found were more questions. My gaze fell upon a small wooden trapdoor in the corner, partially hidden by debris. It was old and worn, the wood splintered and cracked. I felt a strange compulsion to open it, as if it held the answers I was seeking. With a deep breath, I reached for the handle. Section 7. The Ghastly Truth. The air grew colder as I descended the rickety ladder. Each creak of the wood echoed through the basement, amplifying the sense of dread that clung to the air. The dim light barely pierced the darkness, casting long, eerie shadows on the walls. Into the crawl space. The stench of decay intensified, making me gag. My heart pounded in my ears, each thump echoing in the confined space. My fingers trembled as I aimed the flashlight's beam into the darkness. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating me with their oppressive presence. I could feel the weight of the past pressing down on me, a heavy burden I could not shake. And then I saw it. A small, skeletal hand reached out from beneath a pile of rotting wood and dirt. It was as if time stood still, the air thick with the scent of decay and the weight of forgotten memories. The hand was eerily familiar, a haunting reminder of a past I had tried to forget. A child-sized hand, my hand. The scream died in my throat, replaced by a chilling emptiness. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the impossible. How could this be? The realization hit me like a cold wave, leaving me numb and disoriented. My father's words echoed in my ears. I hurt her bad. The truth I had buried deep within my subconscious was now clawing its way to the surface, demanding to be acknowledged. The weight of his confession, the horror of what had been done, was now an inescapable reality. Section 8. Picking up the pieces. The authorities confirmed what I already knew. The remains were Mom's. They also found a smaller set of bones, too decomposed to test but undoubtedly belonging to a child. My blood ran cold. My father's confession, once a delirious rambling, now held a terrifying truth. The loving father, the protector, had been living a lie. Was he a monster? Was I? The daughter, oblivious to the horrors that haunted her past.